Well, that doesn't look right. Nope, definitely not right. So, the Terramite broke on me the other day. The pivot bolt that holds the front axle on broke. Of course, I never overwork this poor little thing. And like 20 years ago, the original bolt here stripped. I had to weld one end and then the other end stripped because the way it's set up, it's kind of hard on the cotter pin because the thing's in single shear, so it tends to twist them, break them, and loosen the nut up. I didn't notice it got loose and it slipped out and bunged up the threads. So like 20 years ago, I stuck this stainless steel bolt in there. Some of you will realize stainless is not the thing to use for this. It work stresses and breaks. And also, it wasn't long enough. The threads were under tension. You know, the threads were only about an inch into this piece here, so it finally broke the threads off. So, I've got a new nut for the original bolt. We're going to take it down to the shop, take a thread file to it, grind some flats in it so that it's a castle nut, and then stick this thing back together. I was working on my driveway. Thankfully, it didn't break while I had a bucket full of dirt in the air. It just kind of sank to the ground while I was picking the bucket up, actually. Speaking of buckets, no, not today, Fergie. Fergie's bucket's going to get repaired. We got a new cutting edge. Wow. With the washers on here, like it really should have, it doesn't have enough threads. This, you can't see it, and there's no way I can show it to you back here, but that bolt, that nut is, yeah, it's about the thickness of one washer from being flush, probably the thickness of the other washer away from being able to put the pin in the hole. So I have to temporarily yank that back out of there, pop the washers off, and stick it back together. I have a feeling, well, I mean, I know eventually this will fail. This failed before, and that's why it had another bolt in it. The answer for this, and what's going to happen the next time this fails, is I'm going to weld a bracket underneath here. It sticks down, comes forward, and has a plate either welded or bolted to it. Probably welded, because you can just pick the beam straight up and out of it. And replace this bolt with just a pin. It's just 1.125" bolt, so put an 1.125" pin through there with a bolt at each end of it, or just a fucking retainer to keep it in place. But honestly, this thing was built in the 60s, and this is, I don't know, the second or third time that I've had this bolt issue where I couldn't just tighten the bolt back up, throw a cotter pin in it, and go. So maybe it's not the end of the world. It also has something to do with the fact that I might have turned the reliefs up on this thing 20 years ago so that it will pick up 800 to 900 pounds in its bucket, which I don't think it was rated for. Nut back off. No, just pulling this washer is not gonna do it. Even though it is a thick washer, it's still not gonna get me down where it needs to be. So I'm gonna pull the bolt out and pull this one, which is a reasonably thick washer I put in here. Oh well.